Yesterday, Wednesday, a state board rejected the Times Square casino bid from Jay-Z in Roc Nation and those companies that I mentioned.
And there's a theme in Queens, and I know Nas is a part of this. Queens get the money. Sorry, Jay-Z, we win again. I just had to rub that in.
Did I lie? Did I not tell you them crackers was not finna get Jay-Z no damn casino in New York City? Did I not tell y'all that? This man done would've took a loan against his house because they wouldn't even give him a loan to go and put a bid in on the casino because he had the owner of Caesar's Palace and then he had an ex-federal informant and mob ties down there trying to put a bid on a casino to bring in the bribe.
Jay-Z is heated right now, and honestly, it's not hard to see why. Imagine this, you drop your billionaire status, your brand, and your entire New York legacy on a massive Times Square casino project, only for the city to pull the plug before it even leaves the ground. Then, just a few days later, Nas, yes, the same Nas who dropped Ether and burned Jay-Z in one of the most iconic rap battles ever, gets the green light for his own $5 billion Queens casino plan. The timing? Way too perfect to be a coincidence. And if that wasn't already wild enough, Queensborough President Donovan Richards decided to rub salt in the wound by telling reporters, "Queens gets the money. Sorry, Jay-Z, we win again." That's not just casual shade, that's a straight-up mic drop aimed squarely at Jay. The city basically told him to step aside while Nas takes the victory lap, cashes in, and shines under the same New York lights Jay tried to claim. Now the internet's going crazy. Fans are connecting dots, pointing out that this feels way too personal to be just business. The energy is giving major deja vu from their legendary beef.
With their decision, as they obviously voted against the casino.
You know it. We met the standard and then some, and the only one with courage to stand up is the governor and the mayor appointees, and everybody else runs and hides.
Takeover versus Ether, pride versus power, history repeating itself in a whole new way. It's almost like the universe just handed Nas another win in their never-ending scorecard, and Jay's got no choice but to watch it unfold. Here's the setup. Jay-Z was the public face behind a multi-billion-dollar Caesar's Palace casino proposal in Times Square, one that was supposed to redefine New York luxury and culture. He pitched it as the crown jewel of the city, a bold statement move that only someone like Hov could pull off. But instead of the empire expanding, the dream got shut down before it even broke ground. And the streets, they're talking heavy, saying this isn't just about zoning or permits. It's about competition, legacy, and the quiet war for New York dominance that never truly ended between two rap kings turned moguls. But the community wasn't having it. Broadway insiders came out swinging, residents raised their voices, and city officials on the advisory board shut the entire thing down cold. No hesitation, no second chances. The whole Times Square casino dream collapsed before it even left the boardroom table. And just like that, the deal that was supposed to crown Jay-Z as Manhattan's ultimate mogul went up in smoke. Now, the twist of fate is almost poetic. Nas is out here winning in the same city where Jay just took a rare public loss. And for someone like Jay-Z, that's not a small thing. He's built an entire legacy around being untouchable. The calm strategist, the man who's always 3 steps ahead.
The future is not something you wait for, it's something you build. It lives in the hands of the doers, the dreamers, the people who refuse to stand still. Resorts World is more than a casino. It's energy, it's opportunity, it's hope for the borough. A second chance for some, a first step for many. It's where community gathers, not just to win, but to build a future once imagined. This isn't just business, this is legacy. And now it's time to invest in us. Because the future doesn't ask for permission, it moves with purpose. From our chairman to our newest employee, we're committed to Queens. And in Queens, the future is now.
The mogul who never misses. So for him to get shut down this early in the game, that's not just a stumble. That's a serious bruise on the carefully built persona he's carried for decades. The always wins brand image that's part of his DNA. What really burns is what Jay was aiming for. He didn't just want a casino, he wanted the location, Manhattan. The flashing lights, the Broadway foot traffic, the Times Square skyline, the heart of New York City. He wanted the ultimate power move, something that screamed control and permanence. But the city wasn't on his side this time. They slammed that door shut, hard. And then, just a few days later, the universe flipped the script. Nas, the same man who once lyrically dismantled Jay-Z during their infamous beef, got the green light for his $5 billion Queens Resort World expansion. The contrast couldn't be sharper. Jay gets rejected in Times Square and Nas gets crowned in Queens. The timing, brutal. The optics, even worse. For Jay, this wasn't just another business rejection. It felt like the beginning of a public redemption arc for Nas. And knowing Hov's reputation, that loss won't sit quietly. Behind the scenes, he's almost certainly recalibrating, strategizing, and preparing the next move. Because Jay-Z doesn't take defeat lightly. Meanwhile, Nas has been quietly building an empire of his own, and now it's fully official. The Queens Resort World Casino with Nas on board just got approved. And this isn't some side hustle or vanity project. This is a $5 billion mega vision designed to turn Queens into a mini Vegas.
What was your thoughts when you heard the song?
This motherfucker, he's going crazy. This motherfucker going crazy. Oh, yo.
Complete with entertainment hubs, nightlife, and luxury. While Jay's dream burned out in the city lights, Nas's vision is about to light up the skyline. They're not just talking slot machines and roulette wheels. This new Queens Resorts World expansion is bringing everything. Live table games, poker rooms, blackjack, craps, luxury lounges, and even a world-class concert venue set to attract the biggest names in entertainment. On top of that, there's a sports academy being developed in partnership with NBA legend Kenny the Jet Smith, which adds an entirely new layer of cultural prestige. This isn't just a casino, it's an entertainment empire, a full-scale ecosystem designed to turn Queens into the next powerhouse destination. And Nas? He's not just the face of it, he's got equity, ownership, and a seat at the table, shaping the vision from the ground up. The project feels deeply personal for him. When Nas spoke about it publicly, his energy made it clear this wasn't just another business move or celebrity endorsement. This was about legacy and community. He called it a win for the people, saying the development would create jobs, uplift families, and build new pathways for young leaders coming out of Queens. Then, in classic Nas fashion, he dropped the statement that stopped everyone in their tracks. Clearly, with this project, the world is ours. Statement that stopped everyone in their tracks. Clearly, with this project, the world is ours. That wasn't just confidence. That was a declaration, a symbolic full-circle moment. And the timing couldn't be sharper. Jay-Z's Manhattan plan gets shut down, and right after that, Nas walks through with a $1 billion win in his own borough. It's poetic, almost cinematic. Fans immediately jumped online, turning social media into a battlefield of memes and jokes, saying things like, Nas ethered him again, but this time with business receipts. The internet had a field day, and honestly, they might have a point. Because when you line up the timing, it doesn't feel like coincidence. It feels like another chapter in the long-running chess match between two of hip-hop's most strategic minds. For Jay-Z, this is about more than a lost casino bid. It's about pride. His entire brand has been built on the image of a Brooklyn mastermind.
Of how you made this beat.
I was at one of those conventions, like a How Can I Be Down or something like that. And I think Nas' album had came out. Mm-hmm. And every car that was driving by was playing, Whose World Is This? And, and the pianos and the drums and the whole cadence of that record had me like, yo, this is amazing. I want to make a song like that.
The mogul who always outplays everyone in the room. From Rockefeller to Rock Nation. From the Marcy Projects to billionaire moguldom, Jay has positioned himself as the symbol of dominance, precision, and power. So taking an L like this, and to Nas of all people, hits differently. It challenges the myth of Jay's untouchable streak. And the wild part? This isn't new. Nas has made a career out of surprising the world just when everyone counts him out, flipping narratives and rewriting the score every single time. Back when Jay tried to clown him on Takeover, calling him washed and irrelevant, Nas turned around and made history with Ether. And now, 2 decades later, it feels like history's rhyming once again. This time, in real estate and business instead of bars. You ever heard that track? That song wasn't just a diss, it was a demolition. Nas went nuclear. Ether didn't just clap back, it flipped hip-hop upside down. The way he dragged Jay-Z's name through the mud was surgical, calculated, and unforgettable. It was the kind of response that didn't just sting. It changed how fans viewed the entire rap hierarchy. Overnight, Nas went from being counted out to reclaiming the throne. Ether became the ultimate comeback record. And from that day forward, Jay-Z and Nas were locked in one of the most legendary rivalries the culture had ever seen. Now, fast forward years later, the microphones are gone, the suits are tailored, and the battlefield has changed, but somehow history is repeating itself. Jay-Z goes corporate, aiming for Times Square with a billion-dollar casino plan. He's trying to make the ultimate New York power move. Then, out of nowhere, Nas swoops in from Queens with the winning hand, and the whole narrative flips again. It's deja vu, except this time, instead of bars and beats, it's boardrooms and billion-dollar contracts. This casino drama feels like the remix of an old classic, Ether 2.0 with real estate receipts. Jay sets up his flashy Times Square empire, thinking he's about to claim the city once again, but right before the crown lands on his head, boom, the deal collapses. And right on cue, Nas slides in from Queens, the so-called underdog borough, and walks away with the win. You couldn't script a pettier, more poetic twist if you tried. But to really understand why this one cuts so deep, you gotta rewind the story, way before casinos, corporations, or Forbes lists. Back in the mid-1990s, this wasn't about money or mogul status. It was about respect. At that time, Nas was already the golden child of New York hip-hop. He dropped Illmatic in 1994, and instantly the culture crowned him the king of lyricism, the rapper's rapper, the voice of the streets with poetry in his pen. Meanwhile, Jay-Z was still grinding for recognition, fresh on the scene, hustling to make his voice heard. His debut Reasonable Doubt dropped in '96, and while today it's considered a masterpiece, back then it didn't make the commercial impact he hoped for. The streets respected him, but the mainstream hadn't bowed yet. Then came the spark that lit the fuse. Jay-Z wanted Nas to appear in his music video for Dead Presidents. Nas never showed. So Jay, being the bold strategist he's always been, sampled Nas's voice for the hook without permission.
Nas or Jay-Z?
Nas. I'm gonna go with Jay.
Some Queens gotta go Nas on that. Okay.
I say Nas.
Jay-Z or Nas?
Jay-Z.
You taking a shot already? Easy to me. Jay-Z.
Nas all day. Let's go.
Jay-Z.
Nas or Jay-Z? Nas. Damn. Jay-Z.
Nas or Jay?
It was a daring move, but also a personal one. And trust, Nas didn't forget that. That single decision planted the seed for one of hip-hop's greatest rivalries, and decades later, the echoes of that tension are still shaking both the rap game and the business world. That single move, sampling Nas's voice without permission, planted a seed of tension that never really disappeared. From that moment forward, a quiet storm began brewing between two of hip-hop's sharpest minds. Jay-Z seemed determined to prove himself as the next great king of New York, building his name one verse, one hustle, and one headline at a time. Meanwhile, Nas watched from the throne he'd already earned, viewing Jay as a hungry challenger who needed to respect the pecking order. It was never just music. It was pride, legacy, and a battle of vision. For years, that rivalry simmered under the surface like a Cold War, silent, strategic, but undeniable. Jay had a habit of trying to outdo Nas in every arena: sales, style, collaborations, and status. He was always reaching for that validation, trying to prove he was not only next to Nas, but greater than Nas. And each time he made a move, Nas stayed patient, watching from a distance, waiting for the right moment to remind everyone that Jay-Z might be powerful, but he was never untouchable. Everything escalated after the notorious Big passed in 1997. With Biggie gone, the entire city started asking one burning question: who's next to wear the crown of New York? Suddenly, the rivalry between Jay and Nas wasn't just personal anymore. It was cultural. The throne was empty, and the two most gifted lyricists in the city were circling it. Jay-Z stepped forward first, seeing himself as the natural heir to Biggie's legacy. He moved like a tactician, dropping consistent albums, locking in high-profile collaborations, and building not just a career, but an empire. Every project, every verse, every photo op was a chess move in his campaign to solidify himself as the undisputed king of New York. Meanwhile, Nas already had that anointed one aura. His debut Illmatic had set an impossible standard, making him untouchable in lyricism and respect.
Was met with the disrespect, but I'm really sorry for for the other people involved, the other people involved, because it was either that or we would see each other somewhere, and it would be like I don't know where we're at.
But as his follow-up albums came out, critics and fans started whispering that maybe the magic had faded, that maybe Nas had lost the hunger that made him great. Those whispers only fueled Jay even more. And that's when things went from subtle to explosive. The subliminal lines turned into full-on shots. The tension that had been simmering for years finally boiled over into open warfare. What had once been a quiet rivalry turned into a legendary battle for the soul and crown of New York hip-hop. A rivalry that would echo for decades and now somehow still finds new life in the world of business and billion-dollar moves. And guess who helped that entire narrative catch fire? Jay-Z himself. He wasn't shy about adding gasoline to the flames, dropping sly subliminals on tracks like Where I'm From, where he subtly positioned himself as Biggie's natural heir, while hinting that Nas was past his prime. Every line dripped with coded confidence, the type of lyricism only true hip-hop fans could decode. It was a power move, and it sent shockwaves through the culture. Nas, though, wasn't the type to take shots lying down. He fired back with his own measured responses, sliding sharp commentary into records like We Will Survive, where he implied that Jay was forcing the crown, trying too hard to claim Biggie's throne instead of earning it organically. Suddenly, what had once been quiet tension became a full-blown battle of words, respect, and legacy. The energy across New York was electric. Fans picked sides like it was a street war. Brooklyn versus Queens, hustler versus poet, mogul versus visionary. This wasn't just rap anymore. It was New York mythology in real time. The city hadn't seen anything like it since the golden era. Every club, every barbershop, every mixtape conversation revolved around one question: who really runs New York? Then came 2001, the year that flipped hip-hop upside down. Jay-Z, tired of the back-and-forth subliminals, decided to go for the jugular. He dropped Takeover live at Summer Jam, calling Nas out by name and leaving no room for misinterpretation. The lyrics were ruthless. He told Nas he had one hot album every 10-year average and declared that his career was finished. The crowd went insane. In that moment, it looked like Jay had won. The flashy businessman, the chart king, finally silencing the poet from Queensbridge. But what came next changed everything. Nas didn't just clap back. He launched Ether, one of the most devastating responses in rap history. It wasn't just a diss track. It was a complete dismantling. Bar by bar, line by line, Nas stripped away Jay's aura of invincibility and turned the empire against its builder. He mocked his image, questioned his authenticity, and tore down the myth of Jay-Z's dominance. When Ether dropped, the entire hip-hop world froze. DJs stopped mid-set. Forums exploded. Even rappers who weren't part of the beef were quoting Nas's lines. It was a cultural earthquake that redefined lyrical warfare. Jay-Z might have had the business moves, but Nas reminded everyone why lyricism will always be the soul of hip-hop. Ether didn't just revive Nas's career, it immortalized him. And 2 decades later, that same underdog energy is still echoing through the business world, especially now that he's outmaneuvered Jay again, this time with billions instead of bars. These two men who once seemed destined to destroy each other's careers were suddenly standing shoulder to shoulder, shaking hands, performing together as if years of lyrical warfare had never happened. It wasn't just a performance, it was a cultural reset, a moment that transcended music entirely. Fans couldn't believe what they were witnessing. After all the venom, the disrespect, the chaos, and the legacy-defining diss records, Jay-Z and Nas were on the same stage, united under the bright lights instead of battling beneath them. From sworn enemies to business partners, their evolution stunned the industry. The two even began collaborating on powerful records like Black Republican and Success, songs that symbolize not just reconciliation, but mutual respect between two architects of hip-hop greatness. It was like watching two kings on the same battlefield call a truce, not because they had to, but because they had both conquered so much that continuing to fight would have been redundant. That moment didn't just unite New York, it cemented both of their statuses as living legends. But here's the truth. Peace doesn't erase competition. The handshake may have ended the war, but it didn't silence the rivalry. That quiet tension, that unspoken drive to outdo one another has lingered for decades, buried under billion-dollar business moves and smiling photo ops. Even as both men built global empires in their own lanes, the spirit of competition never died. It just evolved. And now, with this casino situation exploding across headlines, it feels like that old truce just quietly expired. The gloves aren't off, not yet, but the energy, it's definitely shifting. What's unfolding now carries echoes of their past, only this time the stakes are even higher. But here's what few are talking about. This isn't just Nas versus Jay-Z anymore. It's Queens versus Brooklyn all over again. And anyone who knows New York hip-hop history knows that tension runs deep. Brooklyn has always represented the spotlight, glitz, power, and global appeal. It's home to icons like Jay-Z and Biggie, the Barclays Center, the Empire mindset, the city of luxury and domination. Queens, on the other hand, has always been the borough of grit and grind, a place that produces storytellers and survivors. From LL Cool J and Mobb Deep to Nicki Minaj and, of course, Nas, Queens has always been about authenticity, struggle, and storytelling. So when Nas wins on his home turf while Brooklyn's golden child takes a loss, it's more than business. It's legacy clashing with legacy, borough pride meeting billionaire ego in real time. So when Jay-Z's grand Times Square casino plan got shut down right in the heart of Manhattan, the very core of his New York empire, and then Nas swooped in and secured a $5 billion win in Queens, the symbolism hit hard. It was like the entire city sent a message loud and clear. Brooklyn fumbled, Queens carried. You can feel that borough pride pulsing through the streets again, the same old energy, reborn with billion-dollar stakes. For fans who lived through the original Ether era, this feels like deja vu all over again. The same tension, the same poetic twist, the same underdog comeback story. Only this time, the battleground isn't a recording booth. It's the business world. The scale is bigger, the moves sharper, and the audience wider. And what really twists the knife for Jay is that this wasn't just Nas scoring another victory. It was Nas doing it publicly, right on his home turf, with the whole city cheering him on. The optics alone sting like Ether 2.0. Jay's the kind of mogul who doesn't forget humiliation, ever. He might stay quiet for now, smile for the cameras, and keep things looking polished on the surface. But behind the scenes, there's no doubt he's already plotting. For Jay, revenge isn't about pettiness, it's about precision. So maybe this next chapter of their rivalry isn't about rap anymore. Maybe the new war between Jay-Z and Nas is unfolding in the corporate world, where billion-dollar deals are the new diss tracks and strategic takeovers are the real clapbacks. Once again, Queens is standing tall, and Brooklyn's taking a quiet hit to its pride. But this story, this rivalry, is far from finished. From the streets to the charts, and now into the world of high-stakes business, Jay-Z and Nas continue to prove that their legacy isn't just history. It's alive, still evolving, still competitive, still defining what dominance looks like in hip-hop and beyond. Queens just scored a massive W, and Brooklyn's licking its wounds. But knowing Jay, this isn't the end. It's just the calm before the next big play. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and drop your thoughts below. Whose win means more, Nas or Jay-Z's comeback? Stay tuned, because this story's only getting started.